know what to think of this video. How do Teyvat's trade routes work? Oh god, here we go.
Teyvat, a fantasy world where the 7 elements flow and converge. As we've had more and more regions added over the years, Teyvat's trade routes have started to become quite confusing. While we have some routes that seem just fine, there are others that don't seem to make a whole lot of sense. And I mean, that in itself does make sense in a way, as in, when it comes to open world games, especially, the developers only go so far to make what is essentially a bite-sized world for it to seem like it's lived in, has its own trade and economy, even more so for a game that has to release a new patch every 6 weeks. But when you lift that veil and take a closer look, you see how trade is kind of lacking within the world itself. In this video, we will be not only looking at Teyvat's trade routes to try and make sense of them, but also its less than savory side. Trade violations, scams, all of it. As a certified trade inspector, it's only right that I put a stop to these as well along.
She's from London, ain't she? It's only right. I can't even do that London accent. Whereabouts from London is this?
As a certified trade inspector, it's only right that I put a stop to these as well along the way. So come and join me as we try to make sense of Teyvat's trade. And our first port of call will be
London, innit?
Wangshuin, a crucial spot for Liyue's economy. Ever since 4.4 came out and released Chenyu Vale, this one has really bugged me. You're telling me that all of Liyue's trade with Fontaine goes through here? And not only trade, but NPCs in general go through Chenyu Vale to get to Fontaine and Lumadus Harbour. That's the only way they can travel there. But how exactly, you ask?
Well, they can walk too.
It all starts out strong enough. You're an NPC, and you've headed from Liyue Harbour to the inn as your first stop. A pit stop where you can rest at an inn with apparently no actual rooms, or sit down and enjoy some food. And after that, we head down to the docks below. Now, for starters, Wangshuin's docks at least seem a lot more plausible in coming across as though they're actually being used. They're fairly big, have multiple boats and piers. Probably not as impressive as a main transportation port should be, but
that big wheel looks so sick, dude. What do they call those again? Oh, is it actually just called a water wheel? Can't wait for the fire wheels in Outland.
But it's not bad, though they only seem to have one worker.
What a mill! Yeah, it's a water mill, right? Yeah.
But they're advanced enough to at least have cranes to help with cargo. Oh, my guy is just floating. He's actually just levitating.
Oh.
Impressive.
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
Levitating. Impressive. I like how the lamps are themed as well. They match the aesthetic of the dock. And they actually do seem to make sense. You can see where the rope is coming from and how it's meant to work. Compared to these ones over here that I don't even know how is that rope.
Easy. It goes through a little hole in the wood, and there's a little thing on top that's like a circular bit of wood that plugs the hole. I've seen these, like the similar style of these, actually in real life as well. They are very, very cool.
Like, how does that even work? Like, what is the rope attached to exactly? And what do we have here? Sounding really suspicious. Yeah, no true child of Mondstadt would make that mistake. You are really not helping your case, sir. You don't even know the innkeeper's name.
This could be an obstacle.
Maybe don't state your plans out loud. I'm sorry, but you've been cool.
I never knew that.
Established the inn as a key point in transporting goods between Liyue and Chenyu Vale. So if our NPC just heads down now along the river where the boats will be going back and forth, then you end up here. This one tiny dock right here. How exactly is this meant to be where all of Chenyu Vale's trade and tourism comes and goes through?
Yeah,
Not
that is
to
kind of
mention,
crazy.
before we
I guess maybe because no, Chenyu Vale is pretty big. I don't know.
get any further, this guy mentions that they also transport goods from here to Chingsa village on the other side. So where exactly is that dock? Not only that, but there's not even a safe way to get down to the shore here. And there's treasure hoarders right over there. Or is the implication that they transport it all the way to Wangshuin first and then transport it by land back? That seems a bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, it really does.
Wait a minute. Ma'am, don't you think your prices are a bit
50k for a glaze lily? God damn.
extortionate? I can see a whole load of glazed lilies all over town. What's stopping me from just picking my own?
I'm gonna start a new business.
Would this be considered scamming? Well, seeing as you have a monopoly on the glazed lily market and your pricing is incredibly predatory, probably? I might have to have a word with the Cheesing to conduct a full investigation on this. Back to the docks. While the acknowledgement at least of Chingsa village is good, this dock is still too problematic, simply for the fact that it's way too small. This
True.
is the only way for an NPC to get to Chenyu Vale too. Everywhere else is inaccessible. Everyone apparently relies on this single lone dock for all their trade for an entire nation, and it feels extra surreal when you compare it to Yilong Wharf.
Yeah, Yilong Wharf has a pretty big port.
So while the transport agency mainly helps merchants transport goods, they also do fast delivery, presumably for much
Amazon Prime.
lighter items, like a Teyvat Uber, similar to what Kirara does. And it sounds at least like Leo's government is at least trying to make things easier. Now if they would just put some more resources toward this dock too. You guys are the ones in charge.
Yeah, do you think this girl was... Do you think she just woke up one day and was like, wait, how did the dandelion seeds get to Inazuma? And then just spent like 10 hours fucking investigating and made this 10-minute video?
Of construction and road management? Ooh, well I can't say I'm very impressed with that then. Your
Did Toma take them?
roads are a mess. You said it yourself. Roads, bridges, waterways, docks are critical to transporting goods. You might want to look into that dock near the village. Yeah, you really do.
Yeah, you really do.
If Lumadus is the more popular harbour, why then was this one not prioritised when constructing the Aquabus route?
Well, wait. Didn't we actually get lore on this from Navia or nah? Was that a different one? Yeah, it was Navia's dad, right? Didn't some bullshit happen in it? Yeah, so we know why. But not very good.
I mean, look how prosperous Yilong Wharf is. It even has its own cultural export with tea. What exactly does Beta Harbour have? As this guy says, the vast quantity of trade goes through here, and they're struggling to keep up with the sheer amount of trade and cargo because the port is just too small. But what I find even more confusing is how trade gets to and from the city. For one thing, there's no connection from Fontaine City to the land underneath, meaning if an NPC from the city, say, wanted to go by foot to this village here, or to Poisson over here, they would have to first take an aquabus route out of the city and work their way over from there. The only indication I can find of a tradeway into the city is perhaps here. This area seems to indicate it could be the main port where trade has dropped off, but there's not a person in sight, just a lot of out of control mechs. Plus it doesn't even seem to actually go anywhere, so I'm genuinely confused, as it's made
That is interesting, actually.
clear the aquabus routes are for everyday NPCs and not transporting goods, since the harbours have separate sections here where ships get lifted up and come out of to then sail along the water to their destinations. There's nowhere else that ships could drop off goods.
When you admit we are better, let's have a quick look here. I want to see just how cringe you actually are. Hold on. Following since 13th of July, so since yesterday, 4 messages in chat since the 3rd of April, 2023. You said, got Ayaka and the Mistsplitter as free-to-play with a pleading happy face. And then a couple of months later, you said, this guy is just sucking Hoyo's D at this point. Something bad happened. He probably lost his 50-50. And then in July this year, said, woo are better, not gonna lie. And then when you admit him, woo are better. Brother, I think you need better things to do with life rather than just this. It's kind of sad. Take 10 minutes, think about what you've done, come back later.
To the city other than this spot, at least that I could find. And of course, we have Beta Harbour itself. What is there to say really? It's a bit of a mess. The unsafe route to get there, how the roads are completely unconnected, the multiple abandoned carriages and tigers. As for the harbour itself, it definitely feels underdeveloped, yet this is where Fontaine chose to place more resources. Did you really just reveal your plan to scam people to a random stranger? Well, what? No, I'm actually an inspector, so
well, he's fucking praying, dude. Jesus Christ.
yeah, so turns out one of the merchants down at the
Welcome to Beta Harbor, good strangers.
One of the merchants down at the docks is scamming people. You're conducting inspections? Yeah, conduct an inspection on that guy.
Plus, cringe shit's content sometimes, so fuck it.
Okay, you didn't think this place would be as busy as Port Ormos. Either way, there's no clear way for trade to get from Beta Harbour to the city. We'll just have to go through here and hope our NPC doesn't get mauled by a tiger or Aranara or something.
Do you reckon that Aranara would be hostile at any point? Probably. What if they just got bad
Ignoring
aura
this
from
whole
you? Did I do it, chat? Did I do it right? Did I do the Gen Z thing? Did I do Aura right?
Of an area. While there is some evidence that trade does go through here, we're going to take a look at Sumeri's main source of trade, Port Ormos and Sumeri City's trade route connection. Sumeri uses what seems to be maritime waterways, just like Liyue does.
Don't ever do that again. Okay.
In order to navigate along and transport both people and goods. It's clearly meant for boats of quite small dimensions as opposed to the ships we see at Port Ormos, or any other big harbour for that matter. I'm sorry, but how the hell is that big ass boat supposed to fit through there? A waterway needs to meet certain criteria in order to be navigable. For one, it needs to be safe and not at all dangerous. These waterways are littered with just cargo and garbage floating all over the place. That is a huge hazard.
Collect them! What are you doing? That's exploration % right there, and more.
Waterways also, of course, need to be navigable for ships or boats to get through, so they can't be too shallow.
Is navigable a word, or is it navigatable? No disrespect, I just find it funny.
Shallow or thin, and boats as such also need to be made to
It is a word. Navigable is a word. Sounds like it shouldn't be. Can we change it so it's not?
Alongside this, these parts along Vimara village seem way too shallow and narrow for a boat larger than this to be able to pass through. While some of Sumeri's boats are designed with the waterway in mind, again, some of them don't really seem like they would make sense.
That one looks more like Sid from fucking Final Fantasy is going to start flying it any second.
Rito Island, the trade center of Inazuma. And Inazuma has most certainly had its fair share of trade issues, that's for sure. Right down to closed borders and a corrupt commission extorting traders. But I want to see how Rito Island is doing now that Inazuma is repairing its trading relations with other nations. Not off to a great start. I've already found a secret tunnel that is purely being used to smuggle items of contraband. Is this fertilizer actually any better than normal?
You know, I never knew that song was from Avatar The Last Airbender until I actually watched it with Viv not long ago.
Or are you just trying to scam people? As far as I'm aware, there's never been any proof that it works. That's a bit suspicious, sir. Ma'am, I'm not sure you can be charging this much for these seeds. I know they're cultural exports that have come all the way from Monster.
Yukihara, that joke, although pretty good, is one of the worst things I've seen all day. Take it back.
But considering you're the only Mondstadt merchant here, that's a bit questionable. And look, this guy is from Watatsumi, and he's not charging nearly as much for his island's own unique exports. Speaking of Inazuma's other islands, what confuses me the most when it comes to Inazuma is that it only really has one proper harbour for the entire region. They need somewhere for trade goods to go, and Kanazuka doesn't even have a dock at all. Tatarasuna, for instance, prior to its issues, seems essentially to have been an entire town's worth of people, yet it has no means of receiving goods from the main island. And since Watatsumi Island is basically its own entity, the docks really should be more developed, because they do have their own trade routes and networks, it seems. Like, what is this? As for Mondstadt's trade situation, its connection with Liyue is by far the simplest one. Though, as far as Dawnman Port is concerned, there's a guy in Yilong Wharf that sheds a bit of light on more of Mondstadt's trade connections. As he indicates, water transportation for trade seems to be a lot more worth it for merchants as opposed to land trade. However, the way he describes these routes suggests that Dawnman Port is unreachable from the Fontaine side, as he has to go back through to the inn and head from Liyue. At the same time, he also says how the way from the inn to Mondstadt is dangerous if you go the land route, but it seems like the safest route you could ask for in a world such as Teyvat. Besides, doesn't Liyue have the transport agency exactly for these kinds of things? And however you look at it, prior to the monsters being here, this seems to have been a really popular route, so... Now, I'm sure I've only probably scratched the surface when it comes to trade in Teyvat, but it's still certainly interesting taking a closer look at these kinds of things that are often overlooked. The game has a lot of NPCs that kind of tell you about Teyvat's trade and explain it, but then you look at the fine print and see that other aspects of showing its economy and trade don't have as much detail put into them. It's interesting to see where the devs decide to place most of their effort into building the world, that it's ultimately inevitable you're gonna get parts that aren't as fleshed out. Sir, do you have a trade permit in order to be selling this?
He's going his trade route, dude. Oh, that was a good video. I like that. That was an interesting one. That was quite an interesting one. Let me subscribe. Here is the channel chat, or the video, sorry. What kind of videos do they usually do? Genshin Impact's gods are bad at their jobs? Do Genshin's houses meet safety standards? What the fuck is this? Genshin Impact's roads make no sense. Do we just binge through this shit? I guess we're binging through Genshin's safety standards, trade routes, and roads not making sense, dude. I can't believe we're binging through if Genshin Impact roads make sense. This is great. Okay, let's take a look, I guess. I don't even know what to expect with this. What the hell? Okay.
Roads. Oh, roads. They're everywhere. We all need them. We all use them.
True.
I mean, you can't go 2 steps outside of your house without seeing one, right? Without them,
True.
we wouldn't be able to function. Is the purpose of a road not to get you from A to B? So what then is the purpose of so many of these roads?
Well, would you call it a road or a path?
And how truly safe are they for the average Teyvatian?
Probably
That's
still a road.
where I come in. Hi, I'm B. I'm a road safety inspector, and these are the important questions that we will be exploring in today's video. As
Wait, is she actually a road safety inspector? Because I think she said that in the last video too.
we go around and audit the safety and performance of Teyvat's roads.
Okay,
This is a
sick.
topic that I'm honestly surprised hasn't really been covered.
Really? Really? Wait, really? You're surprised nobody's covered this topic before? I gotta be honest with you. Listen, hey, I think this is really fucking cool. But I am not surprised that nobody has covered the safety and the sense of Teyvat's roads.
This is a topic that I'm honestly surprised hasn't really been covered.
You covered a very niche market here, but I love it.
That or I'm just a bit too obsessed with roads and maps and video games.
Probably that one.
But, no, wait, I wasn't done talking. Now, first I'd like to draw your attention to a road that does make sense.
Okay.
Just to give us an idea of what we're working with here. So, the first road and surrounding area that we'll be taking a look at is the most simple one. And that is, of course, the connecting trade route between Mondstadt and Liyue.
Of
And I
course,
think
yeah.
to get an
Very
idea of this
important.
road, we should first ask this guy. This is a local businessman. I'm sure he can give us a rundown of
Isn't this guy a fucking creep? Swarfan, welcome in.
what's going on. And so according to him, this road used to be fine, but now it's been overrun with monsters. And as such, there's basically no trade. How long has it been like this, you ask? 3 years. Not really
damn.
sure the Knights of Livonius know how to do their job around here. You know, clear out the monsters so the
Well, that's
local
our job.
economy can maybe pick up again and function. As a road safety inspector, I'm definitely going to have a word with the Knights about this. Because this should be a perfectly functioning trade route. And if we move on from that, we can at least safely assume
It's also quite rocky, you know? I feel like going through here with a caravan, you're gonna lose a wheel or two. I mean, just fucking look back here, dude.
that yes, the road does make sense at least. And
To be fair, they were a bit preoccupied with the Fatuian Deval. Yeah, honestly, sure. Okay, but hear me out. Hear me out. I get that. Yeah. Listen, you go up the Knights of Favonius. Can you please fix your roads? Well, sorry, we have a thing going on at the minute with a fucking dragon. Sure, makes sense. Makes sense. But it's been 4 years, and they're still shit.
and it has a purpose, right? Also
I'm with her on this one.
going through Dawn Winery as the main stop when you pass through to Liyue, you're practically forced to stop here. So no wonder they're the most successful wine vendors.
True.
And then of course, the road takes you through here to the Stone Gate. And it all serves a purpose, and clearly establishes in the world that this is how these two nations trade land by land. And you've even got this guard here too. Not doing a very good job it seems though.
You will listen. It's like the Infinity Stones. You got to find the other 6 guards. You know, Dopey, Happy, and then you got the full gang to do the job. You know.
Yeah, no wonder your name's Sleepy. You're sleeping on the job. Look, you've got a Hilichol right there, my guy. If you don't start doing your job, I'm gonna have a word with the Chising, okay?
Oh no.
This is my duty as a road inspector.
Oh,
and
dear
in
God.
terms of safety, when it comes to the roads of Mondstadt and Liyue, at least with the main roads, they're safe for the most part. You go all the way from the Stone Gate to the harbour, and it's extremely safe. You've got guards posted all over. Barely any monsters on the road itself.
Hell
You'd
yeah,
have to
they're doing their
really
job.
veer off to come across any. Until we get past the arch, And this is where I'm really disappointed with the delegation of the cheating here,
They have a fucking watchtower, dude.
because they've got a guard post right here, which is great, except there's no guard in it. And you've got treasure hoarders just chilling along a main road right here. My point being overall though, that with these two nations, it's quite clear that there is a land connection used by many people that we have yet to
Yes.
see really in the other nations. How do the peoples of Liyue get to Sumeru? There is no way all of them go by water, and there's definitely
You say that. I guess it could also be the air balloon. No, that's Fontaine. Fuck. Swim. I don't know. No, probably water.
speculation here that this road connects back up to Sumeru, and this unreleased region of Liyue, possibly Blackcliff Forge related, is how NPCs get to Sumeru via land. You know, that spot with a single lone Liyue house, just sitting there,
Yeah.
all by itself.
Honestly, though, I gotta keep it a buck, dude. You know, when I'm like 50, 60, I could imagine that. I could imagine building a house out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Literally just to not socialize with anyone that I don't want to socialize with. Just go meet someone if I want to go out, like meet friends or family, but have no neighbors. Wait, aren't you already? What? Living in the middle of nowhere, or 50 or 60? Answer carefully, bitch.
Waiting for the day that it's finally free from its job
The latter. Fuck you.
as a placeholder of the illusion that anything exists past this point in the game. Anyway, this is plausible. On the other side of Sumeru, there is also a path leading into this region, but
True.
if we look further on the Sumeru side, this
The
road
path's
is
a bit shit,
incredibly
though. Yeah.
difficult to get to. So it doesn't even seem very plausible that
No,
this
not
could be
ping.
used as a main thoroughfare for your everyday NPC. If I come over here, you can clearly see, right, there is a road that goes through here. You've
Yeah.
also just got this little bit of road right here where it's like they just forgot to paint it in, which is quite funny as well because this whole road takes you to another part of the Aranara quest, but it's like
PTSD.
it's definitely not meant to be that color if you look at the other part. It's the color of
True.
an out of bounds road. Yeah, it's inbounds. So let's just take a
Oh,
moment to
interesting.
follow
That
this
is
road
pretty
back
interesting.
down. And as we can see, it goes past an
Or maybe
area
it does have something to do with the whole Aranara thing and like the part of the desert / forest area where everything looked dead and was revived.
Might Palace,
I'm not gonna-
already quite
making shit up.
dangerous because these people want to attack you on sight. And then you go through here
Even the roads are like...
and you end up at a Hilichurl camp. And let's say just for a moment, we try to ignore the Hilichurl camp. You know, it could have been set up fairly recently and just hasn't been dealt with by the rangers. But then here we see, it doesn't even connect up to the main road. If this was being used as a main NPC route, then surely it would connect up. So overall, I think I'm gonna have to give this road a rating of painted road out of 10.
Okay, what is
It
that
is
though?
severely underdeveloped and there are just
3.
way too many safety issues.
3
So I
out of
would
10.
mainly recommend focusing on improving the safety of these roads first. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. And here we have the path leading up to the Statue of the Seven, quite nearby to where we just were.
This is
so if we
not
just come up
safe.
here, as you can see, you know, it makes sense, right? You've got a road leading somewhere. It has a point to it. If we're meant to just take a moment to assume the NPCs are using this as a road to get to a Statue of Seven, but then why does it just come to a dead stop here? Because
Well, easy.
Statue of Seven.
Sometimes you have to just think about it like it's real life, right? And think like a real fucking road and what workers would do in real life. Have you ever used common sense to think maybe they were building the road and realized there was a bush in the way so they can't go past the bush? That's obviously what happened here.
But then why does it just come to a dead stop
The bush.
here? Because you would think there is a point to it. But then if the assumption we're supposed to make is that this is being used to get to a statue, if anything it would make sense for it to come all the way up. If people are going back and forth,
You can see it from here though, the bush.
they would have formed the path up here as well. Yeah, it doesn't. It just stops
Bush!
right at these berries.
Oh, you saw them. That's why.
For this road, I'm gonna have to give it a 3 berries out of 10.
Perfect score. It's their fault.
Safety is pretty much a non-issue. It's quite close to civilization. The only problem really is that it needs to actually make sense.
Well, there is some
And
to
here
beast
we
too.
have one that was only added in 4.6. But we'll start here. After seeing the map for the first time, I thought, well, okay, they haven't added a road on the map, but then they don't do that for every single road that's actually in the game. And I do remember there being a path that does lead up to this area. So maybe they have actually connected it in the world, but nope. So you kind of just have to climb up, might I emphasize climb. It's not even a clear-cut path, and you've got loads of super dangerous enemies here too that are trying to attack you. So the Eremites and Sumeru guards aren't even doing any kind of job protecting this path, assume.
Well, that's because there's fuck all there to protect, really. It's just a fucking beach. The whole area is kind of dog shit. If this is the new area that was, like, pointless.
Minutes even being used to transport goods. So you have to climb up, which, I mean, is a huge accessibility issue, first of all, and makes no sense if they're using carts, either. And then there, it just stops. And you take a bit more of a stroll north, and eventually come across a new road.
Just realized she has a dull blade. Hey, law accurate road inspector, dude.
Completely disconnected from the one we were at a mere 2 seconds ago. Oh, and it's right next to the Aranara civilization too. So how they haven't been discovered is beyond me. And what do we
Well, it's because not everybody can see them.
find? A broken down cart. What would a cart be doing here if not to transport goods? Ignoring the untimely demise the person using it might have inevitably had, which I should probably report to the city actually, given the tiger right above me here. This suggests though that there was some kind of transportation of trade goods here, but to where exactly? Is this confirmation that they do indeed go through this way by land? And look, you've got how many? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 carts along this road from the harbour, but it just kind of leads out to nowhere, and this makes absolute
Not everyone can see the Aranara, but the little houses are still there. Well, that's why they have the Rishbowl and tigers out there. To prevent people from finding it.
no sense why there isn't a road here if we're assuming it's in such frequent use. But then perhaps that could imply that it's not commonly used as a method of getting from the harbour to Sumeru.
Probably.
However, if this was the case, we then turn to our new conundrum. Unless the people of Sumeru have suddenly developed the ability to float down waterfalls, there's literally no
Which
other
they probably
physical way
haven't.
they could transport goods to the city. Okay, so what about slime balloons, you ask? They use those to
yeah, the
transport stuff all
transport
the time.
balloons.
And you are correct on that, but from what I've seen, they don't seem to fly high in the air enough. The only things capable of that are the airships, which are still
Yeah,
a
but
very
they
new
definitely only got 'em in
exclusive
Fontaine.
Fontanian technology.
Yeah.
Now this one I'm afraid is gonna have to get a 4 carts out of 10 because, oh, this needs work. If we're to believe that this
I
is
agree.
being used as a proper road for trade, there needs to be a lot of safety improvements here. I counted 4 carts that had been attacked on my very short walk, and there needs to be a clear road for navigation. Very disappointed to say the least.
I think that's very
Just
fair.
a quick stop at the Aranara village as well, because we can find these sort of signs all over Sumeru, right? But then, if these are actually meant and being used by the Aranara, then how exactly are the human NPCs getting around Sumeru? How are they navigating?
It's so cute!
And here we have the most egregious one of them all.
Oh, fucking hell, not the chasm, right?
The Lumberpick Valley region, because if you look at this map, you would think there aren't any roads in this area
No,
at
there
all.
are.
Except there's a lot, and none of them show up on the map. But what confuses me the most is that the implication here is that this route
So
is
I'm
mostly
sitting
used
there,
by, say,
barbecuing
adventurers
sauce on my
going
titties.
K-Nox, thank you for the prime sub.
through Liwa to get to Sumeru,
Thank
because
you.
it's quite dangerous and very wild here. There's a lot of enemies, so
there
definitely
is.
not safe for your average NPC. Yet the roads are still very well formed, first of all. But what I'm getting to here is that if this isn't the case and it's not generally used for your everyday NPC, why does Lagoth spawn so close to it? Because this is a
Because he's fucking stupid! This dude never moves. I think he was born on that spot. I think his mum was walking down this fucking street, thought, oh shit, I'm gonna give birth. Gave birth and just left him there. And he never fucking moved. He's so dumb.
serious matter of investigation. Lagoth, when his quest activates, he spawns here, and the only reason he could possibly be here is if he came through Lumberpick Valley to transport his goods. There's nowhere else he could have come from. And we've got Lagoth here talking about a main road, but it's never made clear what road he's even referring to. The descriptors are all super vague, so we never get a clear idea of what is really going on with the road situation.
True.
Here's also another example of the road just stopping, which again, you have all these other roads going through Lumberpick Valley that all connect, but then as soon as you get to one that you would think would be very important, it just stops.
Well, this one's also very obvious because if you look very closely at this, the flowers at the side of the road are like clearly decoration purposes here, like they're just decorative at the side of the road, but then sadly the road comes to the flowers and you can't dig them up.
So if we go through here and follow perhaps where he would be going, one, we've got another road which stops and starts again.
It's because of the flowers.
And the paths are very windy, also filled with a load of enemies. I mean, just look at that.
Maybe the real reason is they were building the road and they got fucking eaten by a rich bull and tiger. Genuinely, I'm just saying.
He would be going. One, we've got another road which stops and starts again. And the paths are very windy, also filled with a load of enemies.
This guy right here. That's why there's no roads.
I mean, just look at that. That is a huge safety hazard right there. You've got a giant rock just hanging around.
That is a nice boulder.
That could fall any second. I definitely need to let Sumeru City know about this one. Okay, so looking at the map, this also somewhat confused me at first as well. How is an NPC supposed to read this map and navigate through it? Because I couldn't figure out a way that a trading cart would even get through all these passes into Sumeru City itself. But there is one way they could get to the city if they're going from Lumberpick Valley.
Yeah, they ain't going that way.
And that's through here. If they go across this bridge here, they have to wrap all the way around the city first. So is this being used as a trade route between Liyue and Sumeru or not? Because otherwise, this is a huge waste of time and resources as well. You've got lamps and fences going all along that need an incredible amount of upkeep. And again, just incredibly unsafe. Just loads of enemies waiting to attack you. So for now, I'm gonna have to give this one a... I'm not sure how trade routes even work in Teyvat out of 10.
Well, we figured that out in your other video, so good job figuring that shit out.
I'll get back to you on that at a later date.
Hell yeah. And
there's
she
still
did.
plenty of roads that we haven't taken a look at, but after having looked at Fontaine, I think that one's gonna need a whole other video. At the end of the day though, the point of this video was to just stop to take a look around and recognize the things that perhaps we don't always pay attention to in game.
This is a
Whether we're just
crazy
trying
video,
to complete
dude.
our dailies or teleporting from one stop to another. And I hope this encourages you too, even if just for a second, to stop and really take in the small things that make up the larger world of Genshin.
Speaking of,
Are you looking for a place to call home?
Genshin's
Well, that's
houses
what we're
meet
here
safety
for. You can be
standards?
confident that we'll find the right house for all your needs. Be it a plot of nice land to grow vegetables on, a house with extra airflow, or one that's haunted by ghosts of the dead that can't move on and will haunt you forevermore. So come on down to Visionary Ventures and we'll set you up with all you need to start your new life today.
yeah, she's crazy. She's
Have
crazy.
you ever wondered how safe the average
love
house in Teyvat is? And why there seems to be almost no real estate outside of the main towns? Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm a certified safety inspector. See, I have a badge and everything. So I'm going to be viewing and surveying the houses of Teyvat. And
I am genuinely so curious if this person is a safety inspector in real life or just the character.
And of course,
Oh,
seeing
no.
if they're up to safety standards. And what better way to start off this real estate tour than in the most habitable place in all of Teyvat, Inazuma. And yeah, I know, Inazuma is recovering from the Vision Hunt decree and the war with Watatsumi Island. I would know, I stopped it. But does that really mean they can't make sure their houses are up to standard? No, I don't think so. Now, there's a few different factors I'll be considering when assessing these places. The environment, what the neighborhood is like, the overall condition and safety of the house, of course, how sustainable
burglars.
it is to live there, and the house's history. And our
Oh, bro,
first
Dawn Winery wins this off the bat.
stop is at Konda Village.
Off the
Now,
bat.
as you can see, we've got a bit of a social class sort of thing going on here, and throughout Inazuma as well. Pretty much all the houses outside of the main towns, minus the Kamisato estate, are thatched and of much
Beautiful,
lower
dude.
quality compared to the cities. But anyway,
that's
you've
fair.
got a village here that basically needs to be passed through to get from Rito to Inazuma City, so I would imagine it's kept pretty safe. You have enemies on the outskirts, but they aren't too close to the neighborhood or houses, which
That's
is pretty
true.
good by Teyvat standards. And well, I have to say, as a farming village, there's no argument that sustainable living is definitely attainable here. I'm not exactly sure who owns what plot of land, but we'll just go on the assumption that everyone gets one. And let's just take a quick
That is a good point. Somebody in chat just said, "Lady, just give up. Lightning strikes you here randomly. What do you expect?" Yeah, you're not really going to have any metal shit on your house, but wood, you could have a wooden roof or like a stone roof. That'd be fine.
look at every individual house as well. So this one's got a
Who the fuck has metal roofs?
huge garden, lots of land and plenty of room, and structural stability. Perfectly intact house. As
Indeed.
it seems to be for all the houses in this village actually. And from here we've got this one, which is more on the smaller side,
That's so
but that's not
cute,
necessarily a bad thing. I would imagine those looking for a more affordable house would go for this. And even this house looks to be safe and in good condition.
I
And then
agree.
here we have the village chief's house, which, I mean, just look at this. That is one grand entrance. Loads of room and land. But one downside, there is kind of a sharing grounds with another house. So I'm not too sure about that. That would put me off a bit if I was looking to buy a house. If we have a look around just to assess the
Are they
structural
married?
stability of the building,
Or just neighbours?
again, perfect condition. Everyone in this village seems to be looking after their houses. No safety hazards so far.
Get down!
Apart from this well, that seems a bit dangerous, so I'm gonna have to add that to my list. I mean, it's not even being used as a well by the looks of it, so it seems unnecessary.
Wait, isn't there a fucking side quest down there? I'm almost positive there is.
Necessarily unsafe. And in terms of general safety of the neighborhood, very good. Apart from I don't know how safe I would feel having a bunch of rogue samurai camping out near my house, but
Seth, welcome
it could
in.
be way worse by Teyvat standards. The final house here looks to have a lot of land as well. They're growing what looks to be tomatoes? So again, ticks off that sustainability and another perfectly safe and sound house. Keep up the good work, sir. So by all means, the houses in this village passed the safety inspection.
Yeah, I think the
found
houses are
only
pretty
one
cute too.
glaring problem, which is the well. We're gonna rate all the houses in this village together just to make it
Okay.
easier. In terms of neighborhood, very
8.
safe, probably guarded quite well considering the area. Sustainable,
8
good
out of 10.
environment. The houses themselves are very safe and in good condition. And so this is a perfect example of safety standards being met. With the Vision Hunt decree officially over, now's the best time to invest in your new vision.
I actually feel like a thatch hut is worse than a stone roof, right? Because if it gets struck by lightning, would it not set on fucking fire? Although, I mean, it wouldn't get struck by lightning though, right? That's kind of the whole point.
Of settling down. And we've got the deal of a lifetime just for you. A prime real estate location, fit with a dazzling view of the sea, plenty of privacy, and your own land to convert into whatever you see fit. With a little love and more, this house could be all yours. Time for the next house on our list. Where's the entrance?
Wait.
Oh, there we go.
Like,
I
to
mean, it looks very overgrown, so not being very well kept or maintained.
the grass is nearly
and,
taller than Lumine.
Not off to a
Oh.
great start. Well, as you know, in a world such as Teyvat, you always gotta be ready to defend yourself. Onto the inspection
Is there a fucking meter troll inside the house?
of the house. Though, who would even want a house out here in the middle of nowhere? In what seems to be a very dangerous neighborhood with a lot of enemies. The neighbors over there do not seem particularly friendly.
True.
Just a box phased into the wall there too. As for the house itself, you can clearly see it's falling apart in a
Oh, it's
state
an
of complete
electro-totem.
disrepair. Very run down, planks falling apart, holes in the walls and roof, and there seems to be just a single monument inside.
Yeah.
No indication of a living space. That is not how I remember it from my last inspection. On my previous
Well,
visit, it was being used
gone
as a
downhill.
secret for Tui base, and it seems whoever bought this hasn't repaired the house either. Definitely not up to safety standards. Just look at all these holes. We've got some clear violations going on here. But if the owners were to put just a bit of investment back into the property, I think it's salvageable. But as it is now, this is not up to regulation. So, what
Understandable.
conclusion
I
have
would
we come
agree.
to for this house? Environment, not necessarily bad.
have to pay
There's
me to buy it.
potential, but it's ruined by the neighbors, making the region extremely unsafe. The condition of the house itself is not safe to live in. Way too hazardous for me to allow any
Fuck it,
residents.
just knock it down and start
And
again.
its history also does not help its case. I'll be back in a few months to check up on this house to see if they've picked themselves up or not.
I wouldn't even give it that. Hiki Village in Azuma.
This house will charm you as soon as you set your sights on it.
Don't think it will.
Surrounded by a picturesque village and overlooking a 100% natural ravine. This house's historical
Yeah. Natural.
village and overlooking
Natural. You could fucking say that. It's natural bathwater is what it is.
a 100% natural
Jesus
ravine.
Christ.
This house's historical value is second to none. So why not come down and have a look for yourself today? Okay, I was informed that there's a village right around here that needs auditing as well. When was the last time anyone carried out an inspection of this place? Maybe we can ask one of the locals what's going on.
Yo, what's up,
Excuse me,
homie?
sir. No. Sir?
They don't want new
Excuse me?
neighbors. Honestly, understandable.
Oh my.
New neighbors can kind of fucking
Okay.
suck sometimes.
Look, sir, I'm just here to inspect the houses. There's no need to get so aggressive. We'll just ignore them and carry on with our
No,
job.
no inspecting.
this
They're
village
growing
looks-
naku weed. Oh my god, they're growing naku weed in the houses. That's why they don't want to inspect them.
Get so aggressive. We'll just ignore them and carry on with our job. Well, this village
I
looks
bamboozled them.
almost like a ghost town. These people clearly aren't looking after their houses properly. Just look at that.
Yeah,
What's
it's kind of
going on
messed
there?
up.
Is there a tree inside that house?
There is.
That's definitely not regulation. That house is in complete disrepair. That needs a lot of work. I mean, the land itself looks good and very spacious, but the houses are just going against so many violations right now. That is not safe. There is also a massive hole right next to these houses as well. Environmental hazards everywhere. I've also been informed after having a word with the locals up at the fort that much of this land is cursed by dead god remains. So it's not only unsafe for people to be living here, but I would also imagine it makes farming the land unsustainable as well. So overall, after taking everything into account, the houses I've assessed do not meet regulation and are deemed way too hazardous for living.
Yeah, pretty shit locations.
Now, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm gonna have to report this, guys.
Oh yeah, that
It
was
looks like
Ken.
you've murdered half the town and you're not keeping your houses safe. And also, while we're on this topic, why isn't there just more civilization in general? Or villages that are alive? But B,
True.
they can't just put loads of houses and NPCs everywhere. Do I look like I'm interested in lessening game design? No. I'm interested in making sure these houses meet safety
What the
standards, and these
hell?
clearly
Yo, it's a
do
floating
not,
house,
as
dude.
evidenced by the
Or a really strong
possessed
tree.
people right over there.
Yeah, true.
We've got these two nearby houses to evaluate too, which I have to say were not easy to get to. They're quite close to the other village we were just at, but I had to go through a dead snake and past this thing. I don't know what's going on there.
It's a puppet.
This
made
neighborhood
by
likewise
Ryder?
has similar safety concerns to that of the village, like the giant hole right here and this man over there on a murderous rampage.
Nice.
The houses themselves though, perfect condition. I can't find any safety hazards there whatsoever. Ample space for sustainable living as well, if only it weren't for that giant snake. It's more so the environment that really lets this house evaluation down, and I'm not exactly sure where the residents of these houses even are. I'll have to report these incidents to the Tri-Commission so they can investigate further. As for us,
I think that's a good
let's
idea.
continue on to the next house valuations.
I gotta be Kamisado. Never mind.
Well, this one seems to be missing a few things, like
Walls.
a roof,
A door.
flooring. I also don't think there's meant to be vegetables growing inside. A lot of hazards going on there. I'm not exactly sure why I was sent to evaluate these houses. This house likewise a similar issue, kind of missing all those important things
Yeah,
houses
missing the
generally
things that make a
need.
house a
Our
house,
next
you know.
house though could be worse. You got some holes going on there. This floor is a huge trip hazard. Someone could definitely fall through that and hurt themselves.
Yeah, it's got a
Look,
sick
I
interior
almost
though.
just fell right there. But that's not something that can't be fixed. However, given the timescale as well, I would assume the wood that these houses are made out of is probably not in great condition either. And so it would need basically completely rebuilding.
Yep.
But you've got a nice spacious basement here as well.
Wonderful
That's a
basement. You
plus.
could make that into a
This
home
house
cinema
looks
and
like it's
everything,
tipping
dude.
to one side, but you've got a nice garden to grow food.
Yeah, but
this
that's art. You know, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, for example. It's supposed to be like that.
This is completely unlivable. Unless we first commission the Adventurers Guild to get rid of that giant storm cloud in the sky that could hit me any second, that could make this village inhabitable. But as it stands, these houses are extremely hazardous and should not be inhabited. I just have one question. Who is lighting these lamps? The Fatui over there? Considering it seems that no one is currently living here, just
Probably,
what
yeah.
is going on? Now, there's not a whole lot to
Or
say
Rue.
about the houses in this tiny village. Yeah, this is apparently where the whole population of Watatsumi Island lives. But if we
What
disregard
the fuck? I also never noticed the shells on the path. That's so fucking cool.
village. Yeah, this is apparently where the whole population of Watatsumi Island lives. But if we disregard that, it's interesting to see
Holy.
the cultural differences in the architecture of these houses compared to the ones on Narukami Island. A lot of shell designs and decor as opposed to the lightning motifs you'd find in Inazuma City. In terms of my safety evaluation though, these houses seem to be in great condition and
yeah, they seem
perfectly
pretty
safe to
safe
live
and
in.
nice.
My one gripe would be the unpredictable nature of the soil and agricultural industry on this island, but for now things seem to be going fairly smoothly, and the surrounding neighborhood for the most part is relatively safe. So keep up the good work,
I think it's
everyone.
very
Love to
safe.
see it.
I like Eminem, yeah. Kanazuka. Oh, God.
Interesting choice for a living space.
Is that a
But the
cat?
Tri-Commission classes it as a house, so let's check it out. Although I'm
Oh,
not
it's the
exactly
fucking-
sure how
oh,
this could
yeah,
be
the
considered a
shell
house when there
person.
seems to be no indication of a living quarters. All I see is a room with 3 chests.
Yep.
Never mind the fact that it seems to be literally right next to a pretty active battlefield. I'm not exactly sure who allowed this guy to live here or how he hasn't been murdered yet. I
Maybe
just
he's
cannot
homies
in
with the
good
Hilly Trolls.
conscience to prove this. There's a severe lack of safety overall. I mean, the guy is living in a snail shell that is not structurally sound, and again, unsafe neighborhood, no sustainability.
If it's strong enough for this, if it's good enough for the snail, it's good enough for me, okay?
Aside from maybe fishing, I suppose, I'll give him that. But no, this is not up to living standards. So sir, I'm gonna have to give you 3 months to either get this place up to standard or find somewhere else to live.
Well, better open one of those fucking chests and get some good moral out of it. Jesus
I've just
Christ.
come across another house that I completely missed. It wasn't on the list of evaluations, but... So we've got another beach house here, meaning the land around doesn't seem too great for sustainability. Aside from, again, I would assume whoever's living here is probably living off of fish. But my big problem here is the structural stability of the house seems perfectly fine, but again, right in the middle of what seems to be another battlefield, I can literally see the dead soldiers' remains just over there, and a fort right next to it, and a whole load of bandits over on that side. That's just really not a good first impression. Not the sort of view you want, really. I would imagine that would put a lot of potential buyers off. So again, this place seems mostly let down by its neighborhood and environment, though the house itself looks well taken care of. Quite a lot of space too, but it's let down by that one thing.
It's probably used as a barracks or
now,
something.
this house, well, estate, you can tell it's owned by someone important. And I can already tell it ticks all of my boxes. Just look at those walls. Very well fortified.
For a really good hide and
You've
seek
even got a guard out front, and a lot of guards inside too. An absolutely beautiful courtyard, and the house itself, magnificent. Even the exterior seems relatively safe, though someone could potentially climb up through here. Also, do you see that? Where is that light coming from? Though I have to say, I did actually find one downside. The neighbouring forests. The locals do not seem particularly friendly. Other than that, though, I would say this house is very safe and well kept. Though it probably would have been a lot safer if it was close to civilization. Inazuma overall?
I disagree. I think if it was closer to civilization, it would have been more unsafe because a lot of people would be offended by politics.
Not doing too great on the real estate safety front. With a few exceptions, such as Konda Village and Watatsumi Island, the housing situation is not looking too good. But hopefully over time, Inazuma can pick itself up again and things can begin to improve.
Would be nice if Mondstadt couldn't do it in 4 fucking years. I have no faith for Inazuma, dude.
That's about it for the inspection of Inazuma's houses. If I were to pick the best house so far, I would probably go super basic and choose the Kamisato estate. But I think the abandoned shack also has its own charms.
Nah, it doesn't.
In the next video for this series, we'll be checking out and inspecting the houses of a different region, because we've got a whole load more of inspecting to do for Teyvat.
Oh dear god, true. I'm scared. Fuck it, we're here now, dude. Genshin Impact's guards are bad at their job.
Sir, are you sleeping on the job while there's a Hilichurl right next to you? Are all guards in Teyvat as bad as you? Guards. Every region has its own unique set of them.
Indeed.
They ensure the safety of their region's inhabitants.
Is that
but not
Swan?
all guards in Teyvat are created equal. Some are great, others not so much.
My
and I
man.
think they're due for an inspection. So come and join me as we go around and review their performance.
Oh, you're a
and
guard
our
inspector
first
now.
stop is the nation of wind and freedom, Mondstadt. So we've got
Hell
the
yeah.
2 front gate guards here.
Swan
Why,
and
hello
the other
there.
guy.
Swan. Ah, I see a by the books guy. That's not a bad thing.
Sure.
Ah, but lacks
good thing, actually.
initiative. Okay. How about you? And a talker. And it looks like you've already got in trouble for this before. That definitely means I'm gonna need to deduct marks for you here. But
True.
overall, they don't seem like bad guards. You just need to work on your initiative. And you are not talking so much and focusing on the job more.
Inazuma has multiple noble houses unlike Mondstadt, so I think it won't cause that much trouble on politics since they will keep each other in check.
Well, I didn't necessarily mean like that, like the other political houses having to go at Ayato. I meant the public of Inazuma, maybe trying to like fucking kill him on the street or something, or like break into the house or like egg the house and shit, you know? People are unpredictable, especially in a place like Inazuma where everything's been going to shit for the past god knows how many years. Thank you for the 100 biddies though.
Great, precise, to the point. That's what I like to see. Over here, though.
Bruce.
Looking awfully suspicious, Bruce. A sweeping survey, Yeah, why do I find that hard to believe? We've got a slacker over here.
Are you just
Yeah, I'm not
peeing or
sure that's how it
something?
works. You're a guard. This is a matter of people's safety. So I'm sorry, Bruce, but we're gonna have to write you up for this. Just
Literally called
because you're in
himself
the
a
City of
freeloader.
Freedom does not mean you're free to slack on the job.
That is true.
Okay, we've got a guard that loves their job, always puts the citizens first.
Hell yeah.
And I see you've got a lot of things under
He
your
is an
belt already.
upstanding citizen, dude.
Excuse me? Of course
course.
it's Nimrod. Nothing bad to say about this guy. And how about you, ma'am? A logistics guard. I'm not sure, does this count? Does this count as a guard? I mean,
Nah.
she's in uniform. I'll definitely have to have
She's
a
a
longer word with you
Oh,
later.
yeah, I guess she is.
Because I definitely think you could be delegating your guards a bit better. Moving
Yeah.
on. Well,
would
that's a
agree with
good
that.
first impression. The gates that no one uses are always the most unsuspecting. You should know better than that. It doesn't matter where you're placed. Overall, I'm not too impressed with this guy. Called guy. Not super into his job either. Yeah,
No.
that's going down on the notepad.
Yeah, he doesn't seem very
Straight to the point.
enthusiastic.
Plenty of information to give away too. Nothing wrong here. How about you? Also straight to the point.
Nice.
Okay, seems like a good guard.
The ones that
but
tend to do the
probably
Mondstadt salute with the one arm behind their back and the other one down all seem to be pretty chill,
He
dude.
needs a different posting. Aside from that though, good. Yep, you look like you're doing a good job too.
Yeah.
Carry on. Now for the headquarters.
Maybe that's kind of the point.
Now this is a guy with good judgment skills. That's what I like to see. Good
Nice.
first impressions from the HQ itself. These two guards seem to be doing a perfectly fine job
Yep,
here
just
too.
standing
Now
there.
for the guards outside
It's
of
kind
the
of hilarious as well because this guy's
These
job
two
is
guards
literally
seem-
just a guard fucking Klee. You can't even see him behind my fucking stupid ass head, but yep. Klee's guard. Doing a great job. She's probably already broken out.
to be doing a perfectly fine job here too. Now for the guards outside of the city. And the first guard we'll be inspecting is right here.
Okay.
I like your initiative, good sir. Helping protect the merchants. That is what I like to see.
Oh,
This
God,
is
be careful.
definitely an area that needs it too. Hopefully Jean will listen to this, because this is important. And now that is a good night. Now, what are you doing out here? You were concerned for their safety, Mac, yet you still haven't escorted them back to the city. I'm disappointed.
shit job, Mac.
And just look how dangerous this area is.
Pretty shit
Their
job.
safety is of the utmost importance, okay?
Get in the
No,
fucking water.
Gotta mark you down for that. Oh, this guy. So you belong to an elite squadron,
God,
and yet
Wing.
you've abandoned your position, and you're loitering outside in the wilderness. Not a good look, my guy.
No,
I'm
terrible
sorry,
look,
but I'm gonna
Godwin.
have to report this to Jean. And
Write
I'm
him up.
deducting even more points just because you're horrible to glory. And I've
Yep.
had to do your commission too many times and you suck. Following
Understandable.
orders to the T, I see. Oh, and it looks like you've already done a lot
See,
of good for
dude,
this
the
area. You've saved a
polls
lot of
means
people's
that
lives, so
good
good
gods.
for you.
The hell?
I have to say, I do find it quite concerning that Springvale and Dawn Winery have absolutely no guards
Okay. Let's keep it a buck here. Deluc is the fucking god.
patrolling, and Mondstadt has almost no resources as of now thanks to the expedition. Overall,
Yeah.
Mondstadt's guards are okay. While there's a few outstanding guards, a majority of them are perhaps a bit too relaxed. That would be my main point of improvement for them, and to also bolster their defenses outside of the main city. And the next
Understandable.
region on our list is Liyue. Hopefully their
Nice.
guards prove to be a bit more serious about their jobs.
Probably
I
not.
won't touch on this guy too much because we've already had a good look at him, and well, need I say more? Can't do his job and is extremely rude. That is going
Yeah.
straight down on the report. Hello.
There is
I
also
mean,
a
I
little
suppose
white
you have
hair.
a point, but shouldn't you judge everyone equally? Yeah, this is a major thoroughfare. That's exactly why I'm saying that. But you seem quite knowledgeable and experienced in your position, so if you just step up the game a bit more, I'd say you're doing pretty good. Guard inspector here.
Nice.
How's it going? Okay, so we've got one guard that
Oh, I love these
seems
two,
to
dude.
be doing alright, and the other can only talk by copying.
Fucking children.
So we've got a short-sighted guard
Harry
that can
Potter.
barely see in the watchtower. Okay, I'm gonna have to
Wait,
recommend that you
really?
get moved. Got another slacker, I see. A slacker that prefers to do fortune telling over guarding the
Whoever said Hoyer still have a sense of humor, dude?
safety of its people. Are you aware that your friend over there isn't doing his job? Okay, at least you seem to be doing a good job, sir. Yeah, why
Nice.
is your comrade slacking off? Not sure what to make of that. He's good at
Hey, sometimes you need to recharge a little bit. If you're stood there for like 12 hours a day, after 6 hours, sometimes you might just want to go take a little sit down, you know, for 5 minutes. Maybe you just caught him in his 5-minute fucking power nap time, okay? Don't judge.
judging
Don't
people,
judge.
but are you
At least they're taking it in turns.
sure he's not just faking it? At least you're doing your job well, inspecting everyone that passes through. As for the other guy, good judgment, but needs to stop with the slacking off. Liyue Harbor, the richest city in all of Teyvat. Okay, good job. Making sure that citizens are aware that they can come to you. I'm not a trader, I'm an inspector. These two seem to be doing a great job too. First line of defense always needs to be ready, aware and alert, and they've got it all. Oh no. Yeah, unfortunately, sir, I'm gonna have to reveal to you I'm an inspector and I can't stand for this kind of corruption. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to write you up for that. Free to chat while the sergeant's not here. Oh, I feel like we've got a serial slacker here too.
Yeah, that
a
does
guard
feel
that's
pretty
proud
shit.
of his job. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Jingsa village is in dire need of some guards. But you're doing a good job. I mean, apart from the fact that the guy's hungry, I suppose he's doing his job. They also don't want a guard working on an empty stomach.
But if he was sat down eating, you'd say he was slacking, so the guards can't win, Inspector.
Oh boy, what do we have here? Another slacker at hard work just now, were you? I have been watching you for quite a while and you have not moved from that spot. I'm not sure about that one.
Bribery.
Taking breaks is fine, but you've been taking a break for a very long time. And now you're trying to bribe me with some
bribery.
radish balls?
Write him up.
Oh.
Write him up.
Straight to the point. Ensuring their safety and well-being is your top priority. That's good to hear. Carry on with the good work. Oh, we've got an important guard here.
Another bribe.
I mean, that is good to hear, but your guards should always be paying attention. A lot of them seem to be slacking on the job. Patrolling properly, good initiative, and you've
She took the bribe from that one.
submitted multiple reports. Don't worry, I'll have a word with the Chising myself.
What the fuck?
So you've
Really
lost your
needs to pee.
polearm. That seems very irresponsible for a soldier. Yeah, how do you manage to lose your weapon like that? So
Yeah,
you've
that
got a
is
very
true.
forgetful guard, and all he's doing all day long is looking around for his polearm.
Also, dude, Reekwind is a very fucking unfortunate name. Holy shit.
Rather than guard the safety of the people. We've also got some guards on the other side of the harbour, so let's go check them out real quick. I have a question here though. How is there only one person guarding the biggest mine in all of Liyue that must also be super important to its economy overall? Oh my, that is a lot of guards. Let's
Yeah.
get a head count going, just to see how many guards the Golden House has. I mean, I'm not sure about the motives of this guard. He seems more interested in the money than the protection itself.
Hot take here. Most people in life don't work a job because they want to work that specific job. They work it for the money it provides. And I think that's fine. I'm very fortunate in the sense of I'm doing what I've always wanted to do for a living, thanks to you guys. So I have no right to complain or fucking say anything otherwise. I'm very fortunate for that. But there's a lot of people that do a job they hate for the money.
How about
100%.
you? Okay, a skilled guard, very attentive, motivated.
Jesus fucking Christ, so many, dude.
You know what, I have to say, it's good to see the closer you get to the Golden House, the more straight to the point the guards are. It's great that you're being responsible and staying to your posts and all, but is anyone gonna do anything about that? You're not allowing entry for just anyone. That's good to see. But what if I just sneak past? Oh, they didn't stop me though. That's not good. We've got a few guards in the chasm too. First guard seems just fine. This guard, however, seems more interested in becoming a bard than actually guarding the place.
Based, he should play Baldur's Gate 3.
A bard. With the addition of Chenyu Vale, we've got a few more guards to review on that front. Yes, I agree. Watchtowers are a really important defense. This guy really knows his stuff. I spoke too soon.
Oh, God. What the
fuck?
fuck?
Overall, knows his stuff, serious about his job, but
Yapper.
bit of a yapper. Knowledgeable, skilled in combat, years of experience by the looks of it. Cons? None. How is Liyue looking? Better than Mondstadt at the very least. I suppose for the richest nation,
I would disagree. I think Mondstadt was looking better in terms of how productive the guards were being.
they can afford to have a lot more guards and more out in the world.
There is just more guards, though. I do give them that.
Us along super busy
more.
routes is also really good planning. My main improvement here would be, again, for better delegation outside of the harbour. Oh, and
Mine would be letting the guards pull on the weapon banner instead of using white tassels all the time.
this guy. Let's head to Inazuma next. Now, I'll cut them a bit of slack, what with the whole
The wait is over, my comrade.
their numbers are probably quite low. And that's certainly a good impression right off the bat. Loads of guards right at the docks. Very heavily guarded. How about this guy? Seems to be more interested in in watching a lady overdoing his job and watching out for trouble. That's gonna go down on the list.
Fired.
You know what? I like your
Easy as
initiative,
that.
sir. That's really good posting to be at. Making sure that no undesirables can get free along the beach either.
Why do you randomly
Good spot.
ask him
Now
about his
yours
big
is a
sister?
very important posting. Guarding the main road from Rito Island to the city. That's
Nice.
a bit concerning. You don't actually know what counts as contraband, but you seem very enthusiastic about your job. Maybe just brush up on your knowledge. You'd think border control would be a bit more knowledgeable on what they're looking for though. And we've
Fucking
got another
idiot.
guard musing over his love rather than do his job. Disappointing to see from the Kanjo Commission.
Nah, understandable. That's harsh.
Musing over his love rather than do his job. Disappointing to see from the Kanjo Commission. You look like
Love is love. Think about your loved ones. Simp over your loved ones while working or not. Who gives a fuck?
a serious guard. Oh, you're the squad leader as well. I'm not surprised then. I'm very impressed with your attitude. Though you did take your eyes off her to look at me. Well, that's certainly a good first impression. Rito Island seems very heavily guarded, as
Yeah.
it should be for the main port of call. Wow. Protect them with your life.
And the fact that
Though
nobody
all
could
I
leave.
can do now is be a good guard. Impressive. Keep it up. You're pretty relaxed. Yeah, you really shouldn't be letting your guard down, especially not in front of an inspector. Yep,
is
you've
true.
been caught. Now, what I also find interesting is that the
Inspector.
Kamisato estate seems to have the least amount of guards compared to the other commissions.
Well, I feel like that's probably because Ayato and Ayaka can fucking defend it themselves if they had to.
Counted 4 in total on the grounds, but the others have way more. It's a bit concerning though, because they are out in the middle of nowhere too. But it's an interesting piece of storytelling. Good to hear that you're interested in the safety of this place. Always keeping an eye on everything, that's good. This guard has a good attitude. The only thing is that there are a load of treasure hoarders literally right over there. So I'm gonna have to deduct points for that. That does not make the main road to this island safe for your average citizen. Here we have what looks to be the first guard of the main city. And
Well, he's
first
guarding the
impressions
dog's
are
tree.
everything.
So-
Security checks straight away, no fuss about it. What if I
Yeah.
were to just run away though? Will he stop me is the question. Oh no, I'm getting away.
At least the dog's
Perfect
following
law abider. Next guard.
Fuck yeah.
You have a fellow guard that was meant to be on guard with you, and he always abandons his post. Yeah, that's definitely something you need
That's
to report.
shitty. Yeah, you
You're
should
doing the
definitely
work
report
of
it.
2 people, which is honestly quite impressive. I'll have a word with your superiors myself and give you a recommendation. You have to patrol this whole area? There is no way that's true. Oh my god,
Bro
there
just
really
doesn't
is only
move,
one
dude.
guard patrolling this whole area.
It
That
doesn't
is
even
so
move.
bad. I need to have a word with the commission after this. Well, that's great. At least we've got guards at the prison. Sounds
True.
like the guards aren't very good at handling multiple reports per day.
Yeah,
is
they
that
weren't
just because
very
there's
good at
not enough
handling
of you,
Ito
perhaps?
either, right?
Let's go see. Well, now it all makes sense. They're all up here. I don't
Will's
think you
weapon
should
is
let
dancing.
people pass just because they don't look suspicious if they're not meant to be here. See, he just said, no outsiders allowed on the drill grounds. Oh, so they're a separate division from the rest of the guards? Still, it seems like there's almost no guards outside of the Raiden's residence. I find that very disappointing. So all the guards here are to protect the people from...
No, it's quite interesting because if you think about real life as well, isn't it kind of just like that? Kind of fucking is, dude. Like, you can go to Buckingham Palace in the UK where all the really expensive, like, royal shit is and sometimes, like, royal members and stuff. There's never really guards outside of the gates. They're just inside. Same as, like, the Parliament buildings and stuff. There's never guards outside of the gates. Because people can go outside of the gates and take pictures and shit. But there's plenty inside. What's it like at the White House in the US? Is there guards outside of the gates of the White House? Or is it just inside? I don't know. It's interesting to think about, actually.
the Raiden Shogun. I'm not sure about that one when they could be guarding a lot of other areas that desperately need it. Next, we have the rest of the guards
They have snipers on the roof? Okay, well that's a bit fucking different. Technically still inside, though.
outside of the city. Only interested in the job, but also making sure that travelers are safe and don't go where they shouldn't be. Good job. Hi, you're a guard, right? Could you like maybe help? You know you're guarding, right? You're meant to be watching. No. There's some guys right down there that are trying to kill me. No? You're
Jesus
a guard.
Christ.
You're meant to want peace and keep the peace. Well, I'm an inspector, and I'm gonna have to report this to Kokomi herself.
Oh no.
Look at them. They're
Not the
right there.
comrades.
Are you just gonna stand there? Does not know how to guard. Next, we headed over to
Understandable.
Watatsumi
I do the
Island
same.
to
I'm
conduct
kidding,
an
I wouldn't. I'd
inspection
kill 'em
there
all.
too. Oh wow, very rigorous. A dutiful soldier, concerned for his
I do
comrades'
love that
safety,
soldier. Where are you
carrying
going?
out
Answer me
important
honestly.
inspections. We've got another slacker. You're going on the bad guard list. All this guard seems to want to do is praise Goro.
Based.
Right, I'll probably put this
What do you mean,
guard down as non-applicable for now, considering he's wounded, so can't actually currently do his job.
Understandable.
Hopefully
Very,
you get
very
better.
fair.
Well, we've got a guy
Pussy.
that is afraid of heights and bridges, guarding a very important road to a sacred shrine. I'm not sure relaxing in nature is training, but I mean, as long as you're still keeping an eye on everything,
Actually?
I suppose. And now for the docks. A very crucial place that needs a lot of
fucking hell,
guarding.
dude.
An important sea route. And it looks like they picked the right guy for the job too.
You can see.
Inazuma, the land of eternity. Makes sense then that the Raiden Shogun's guards are
You know, I was just thinking that this reminds me that Wuwa actually has NPCs fighting monsters and bandits. But imagine if the NPCs in Genshin that you could speak to could also start fighting, and then it cuts off the option to speak to them. How fucking annoying would it be? I feel like that would be annoying. But it'd be nice to have like uninteractable guards fighting shit in the open as well. That would be kind of cool.
quite serious and respectful, if a bit unobservant and lacking in knowledge. Watatsumi Island, on the other hand, seems like it's polar opposite in attitude. Though
True.
in comparison to Liyue, the main city needs way more guards for its people. Now
Oh,
firstly, I
100%.
have to say, Sumeru is painfully lacking on the safety front as a whole, and I'm also kind of stumped, get it, since they don't really have an official guard, so I'll just judge the Eremites that do seem like they're assigned as actual guards.
Okay.
Not a great first impression either. This is the first guard you see when going into the city. A super important role, yet we've got one that is wounded and struggles to do simple jobs.
Oh. Well, maybe
Not a
he's
good
just
look. And the next guy
pussy.
apparently has a brother that is a guard but also a thief. You'll pay the price if you let your guard down around people in uniform. What kind of impression is Sumeru
What?
trying to give here? Is this the thief? So we've got a wounded guard at the entrance, a corrupt thief guard, and his brother who won't do anything about it. Wow, Sumeru. The next
What
guard
the
doesn't really
hell?
have much of anything to say, but she seems to be patrolling very well, so got someone doing their job at least. And then we've got a brother and sister, one who is only
Aw,
interested in apparently me getting him a sword,
Curved swords.
and a sister who isn't even guarding properly or watching the ships as she should be. This is an
Damn,
inspector's
Sumeru's just fucked, dude.
worst nightmare. Oh, thievery in Port Ormos is even worse apparently. And we've got a guard
I wonder why. Burning Sand, thank you for gifting us up to Joseph. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you.
sleeping on the job yet again.
Sleeping.
Classic.
Bro, Sumeru's
Just
guards are
because you're not being
terrible.
watched doesn't mean you should be sleeping on the job. This is people's safety. Oh my god. Well,
Actually
the people
terrible.
patrolling seem to be doing their job good, so that's something. And now the headquarters. Though
Bernie-san,
this
thank
seems
you.
to be more of a break area.
Forget it, Amy. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you.
So, I'll say the guards here in this bit are non-applicable. As for the man in charge,
Okay, that's fair.
most tasks are assigned by the Academia. And civilians, even if you're in Port Ormos, Eremite guards might not have good intentions. I'm sorry, but Sumeru
Oh my
is just the most
God.
unsafe, defenseless region
Yeah,
ever.
it's
These two guards
fucked.
seem to be doing a good job at least. And they're knowledgeable of the area and friendly. Excuse me, are you on
Oh,
a break
no.
or are you just slacking off? Not taking jobs seriously. Well, at least there seem to
Those
be
two
a
are so
few more
cute, though.
guards around the city in general compared to Inazuma. But a lot of them again seem to congregate around the Academia. It was
Yeah.
now time for Port Ormos. Not good at small talk, but that's a good way of thinking because it can easily distract you. and
Exactly,
again
yeah.
with this warning
good.
of not to trust people in Eremite uniform. You guys are meant to be the guards, guarding this place and keeping it safe.
Yeah, that's a red
If
flag.
Port Ormos is meant to be as dangerous as everyone seems to say it is too, where are all the guards? There's
And the
almost
parents,
none.
dude.
Oh, finally, found some. And the first thing we see is someone getting reprimanded for not doing their job properly. That's
for
great.
God's
Are
sake.
you at least doing your job?
Can't you just reprimand the other guards at this point?
Only 2 guards here for what seems to be a very important research facility. If you've got a lot of important research stored here, I'd think you'd need more guards. I'm going to assume you're on a break, because otherwise you definitely should not be drinking on the job. so I'll put you down as non-applicable.
Bro, this is
good
insane.
observation
How has
skills.
Sumeru survived?
Not too talkative while on the job. Can't find any cons here. Well, Sumeru's guard situation was
Dire.
unsurprising. For a region that doesn't have an official guard and is run by a university, of all things, that hires
But they do have the General Mahamatra. So, what equals that?
mercenaries rather than invest in an actual safety department,
decide
Sumeru needs to take a really close look at his priorities. Fontaine seems to have a bit of a
left out
robot
Sino?
malfunction problem as of late. A blatant disregard by the Institute for the people's safety. I'm of the stance that they're more of a danger than a help, given
I
the
agree.
state of Fontaine's countryside outside of the city, of
Yep.
which nothing has been done about. First guard of the region. Good attitude, reliable, but most of the work is done by the mechs apparently. Still, I'm impressed. It's a good
They let
first
AI
impression
take-
as well.
They let AI take over, dude.
Okay, hold on. Only 2 guards for a very big and busy harbour. Knowledgeable,
Yeah,
patrolling
that's
back
pretty,
and forth, hasn't left her post at all. I like the strategies that they
Honestly.
have in place for the guards in Fontaine.
Dog!
They realise that putting a guard that isn't interested in operas is a very good thing to do,
Is
as he's
that
more likely
baguette?
to be paying attention to the safety of the people rather than the performance.
Don't think
That is
so,
good
bro. No, it's
judgment
not.
on part of the guards. A good rule follower here. How about you? Oh, wow. Now this is the best guard I've ever seen.
I agree. I will
see.
vote dog.
So a lot of them work in pairs alongside the mechs. More of an engineer than an actual guard. That certainly won't backfire on you at some point, right? How do I even
Probably
review
not.
this guard?
She is standing, I guess.
A newbie? I like your enthusiasm. And you seem to be observant and interested.
Sumeru is lore accurate. That's why Dottore took over a small group of people so easy, with all the bad guards on Sumeru.
100%. I was thinking the same thing. That's how he just like fucking sailed in and got where he needed to go.
Interested in what's going on around you. Is this guy really trying to get a date while he's on the clock? Wait, that's it?
pretty
I expected
bad.
Fontaine to be a lot better than this. But there's quite an underwhelming amount of guards.
I mean, there's also Melazine guards, right? And they have the court system, so not much crime is committed because of the insane court system. So I think that actually makes sense.
And even at Lumidus Harbour, I counted 4 guards in
I'm pretty certain Fontaine as a nation would probably have the least amount of crime from all the nations, other than maybe Mondstadt. Simply just because of the court system. With the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal. Another one bites the dust.
in total. And not even any mechs for this one, which is even
But very
more
dark crime. Oh yeah, the crime is fucked up.
surprising, considering this is meant to be the main and very large harbour where a lot of trade goes through.
True.
Fontaine is the nation that I thought would be a lot more impressive than it actually turned out to be. No guards in the main section of the city itself, or at very key points of the region, like the harbour and bus routes. What exactly would they do if their over-reliance on the mechs backfires? That remains to be seen. As an added bonus, I also wanted to go over some other cool differences between the guards of each nation. The
Okay.
salutes, for example, fit the nation they're
Yeah, dude, the
representing.
salutes are sick. I
Mondstadt's
like the
one
salutes.
is serious, but with an air of freedom. Liua's is serious, hand-on weapon. Inazuma's comes off as very respectful.
True.
Sumeru's is... And Fontaine's is quite similar to Mondstadt's, but more rigid. The
Yeah.
weapons are where we see the similarities between Liua and Inazuma, both donning the spear. Mondstadt with the classic fantasy sword,
Of course.
Sumeru with a badass scimitar, and Fontaine with a baton,
baton.
even though they have guns. And finally, we're at the end of our guard performance review. In terms of what nation
You also forgot to ask Shivrus about the guards.
I
Shivrus and Sino, you gotta add them.
was most impressed with, it would have to be Liua.
Boats are made for transferring commodities back and forth, and those that come across Liua tend to stay a while. So
I
it
think-
is where many things come to settle.
God, you fucking yap. I think I would also say Liua. Dude, these videos are fucking phenomenal. These videos are quite literally just fantastic. I subscribed. I urge all of you to subscribe as well, whether you're watching this on Twitch or YouTube. Not what I expected in the slightest when going into watching those videos. Incredibly fun, dude. There are some other videos, but those are the ones that I felt like were the best ones to watch on stream. There's a couple of others, like I locked my new account in Fontaine with just the Traveler. Can you play Genshin Impact using only fishing weapons? Can you play Genshin without leaving Sumeru? And can you play Genshin without leaving the road? Probably gonna get to that one fucking road that turns into grass halfway. Very cool content creator, dude. Very original ideas and shit too. I like that a lot.